to where this came from with the television series in France, and you watched it back in the day in the 60s, and talk about where that genesis came from for the feature.
Yes. Before that, I would like to thank you all, because you're a great audience, really. You know, in French cinema, we're a bit like Sebastian in the movie, we dream of America. So, we're really happy to be here. And so yes, it was, actually, Belle and Sebastian was a series. It was a black and white series that was created in the 60s. And at that time in France, there were very few series for kids on TV, so it was broadcast many times. And I saw it when I was a little girl. And it was great. And every girl in France, every boy in France loved that series, because the boy was free, there was the dog, and you know, and so it was a dream for me, for us to make a movie for the big screen with that story. And somehow we managed to do it, because we went to see Gaumont. Gaumont is a studio, is a French studio who had the rights of the series. And we went to see them, and we said we wanted to make a movie of the series. But we made a few changes, actually, because we took the kid, we took the dog, and we took the mountain. And what we did is we kept the freedom and the loneliness of the little boy, but we reset the movie during the Second World War, because the series was during the 60s.
And it's also fascinating, they're both writing together and they've come up with a voice between them, which is very unusual. They've only been doing this, I think, 4 or 5 years. They've been writing together, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So talk about that process. How do you write together, and you really do write together a lot, and create that single voice for a feature?
Yeah, it's really together. We have only one computer and 4 hands. And basically, one is writing and the other one is taking the computer, and I have another idea. The good thing is we can play the parts. So there is an exchange for the dialogues, and that's very exciting. And when somebody is exhausted, he's going to sleep, and the other one go on with the writing, and so it's faster.
And we know each other quite well now, so we have to convince each other. You know, if we're not convinced, then we don't keep the idea. So it's a good way of having good ideas, better ideas.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated too, Fabien, you talked about this earlier about there's 3 things you don't want to put in a movie that are really hard: animal, children, and water. And water, we talked about, you know, with Spielberg having such a difficult time doing Jaws and doing water scenes. So you got 2 out of 3. Talk about how you handled that and how the casting director handled that.
Yeah, it was a really big challenge for Nicolas Vanier, the director. That's why we chose him, because we went to Gaumont. It's an unusual process in France. Usually the director comes with an idea, and sometimes he chooses screenwriter and producer. But we were at the origin of the project, and we went to Gaumont to have the rights. And then they say, okay, well, why not? But it's a kid, which is very difficult, because in France the law doesn't allow you to shoot more than 4 hours with the kid per day. And animals, it's pretty tough, so how are you going to do it? And Nicolas Vanier is a documentarist, a director for documentary, and he did a lot of movies with dogs in the Arctic, in Canada, in snow. So he knew weather, bad weather, snow, mountain, and dogs. So he didn't know kids, but he learned how to do it. He did a big casting for, I think, like 3,000 kids, different kids, and he found this one, and it was really amazing, because it was his first time on screen, first acting. So and in France, the heritage of the series was huge, because the movie is really different from the series, but everybody was remembering the original kid. He was really cute and he was amazing, and everybody was saying like, you're gonna fail because you will never find a kid as good as this one. And Nicolas did it.
And talk about the cameo for the real Sebastian.
Oh yes, so
Yes, and actually what we did is we wrote a part for the Sebastian of the series. So it's the man who's carrying the wood and explaining to Sebastian how the dog was hurt when it was little. And it's very moving for a French audience because everybody knows him. It's the only place he's been famous is this series. So.
And Juliette, also the music is very familiar in France. Talk about the music and the reaction you get from the French audience.
Yes, you know, the song you hear in the movie is the song from the series. And it's very famous in France. So anybody who listens to it starts crying. So it was pretty easy to put it in the movie. And it works very well. It's a beautiful song.
It was pretty important for us to put the music. We did that during the writing, actually, because it was important to be faithful in some way to the spirit of the series. That's why we go maybe with the guy with the burden.
Yeah. And then before we take questions, let's talk about the dog, because we see one dog in the film, but talk about how you work with the dog.
It's always difficult to ruin some magic, but actually there were three or four dogs for the shooting, because I mean, one dog is the actor, so he has all the acting and all the faces you can see and moving and the close-up, and he was really great and really different from the three others. And the three others, one was for the running, he was running very fast, very nicely. The other one was for the grabbing, because the two other dogs didn't know how to grab, so we need to grab a rabbit so he was there. So it was pretty. Andrew Simpson, the guy who did the animal stuff, the Canadian guy, and did some amazing job. And every dog was on set.
Yes, and he did an amazing job with the dogs, but with all the animals you see in the movie. And there are many of them. You know, the wolves and the deers and the rabbits and everything. So Andrew is like a magic man because he can deal with any animal.
And we have to say something, because at the age of special effects, like maybe 90 or 95% of the movie is real. Even lots of things you can say, oh, maybe it's digital. It's not. The kid in the rope, it's the real kid doing the film. So it's immersive.
We're going to do that afterwards with the after party.
With his wife out there. And it was pretty important for everybody, for us at the writing and for Nicolas Vanier, director, and for the producer, to be as real as possible. And I mean, it's important to know that, because maybe there is 5% of it, maybe for a few animals you see at the background, or birds.
And the snow was real also, because the kids and all the actors really suffered from it. Because it was like minus 30 degrees, and they still were there.
Fabien, talk about the spirit you want to get in the writing in the film. Talk about the children's spirit and the spirit from the animals. I think you had some interesting points.
Yeah, I mean, the first audience we wrote for, because we were asked for that, was us. We were the first audience because we tried to write a script that speak to the part of your childhood. So that was, we have a big part of our childhood inside us. So, and we wanted to share that. And lots of people in France told us at the beginning of the project, like, well, it's a kid movie, and in France only kid movies are only comedy. And it was really important for us that it's not only a kid movie, and it's a movie for kids and parents and grandparents. And it's a whole reunion. We saw that the movie went very, very well in France, and we saw in theater the whole family and the grandparents bringing their grandson or daughters in the movie theater. So we wanted to share this spirit with the audience.
And I think you did. Let's open up for questions. Do you have questions or comments we can share? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you what where did you film this, and how many takes were the rescue rope?
So,
how many takes did that take?
yeah, questions, where was it filmed and how many times to do the rope?
It was filmed in the Alps, in an area of the Alps called the Haute-Maurienne, near le Col du Mont-Cenis. It's a beautiful place. Obviously, it was shot over the 4 seasons. The shooting started in summer, then there was another shooting during the autumn, and another last shooting during the winter. And the rope scene, you mean the first scene with the little boy? Actually, it was not the actor, it was another little boy who's a stunt. And when we saw the Russians, we couldn't believe they had actually put a little boy in that position. They did. We asked the director, we told him, but where were the parents? And he told us, well, we send them away. And, and the little boy was incredibly courageous.
I think in two takes,
Yes.
we weren't on the set all the time because we are screenwriters, so we have 2 rights. But I think Nicolas told us 2 takes because it was pretty tough, and there's an helicopter shot, so for the wide shot, so it was pretty intense. You can't risk too many takes because it's for the kids, and again you have 4 hours per day, so it's really difficult to manage.
So you put those 4
And
hours.
it's expensive.
Other questions?
Yes.
Please comment on the actual aspect of bringing the Jews out through the passages of the mountains. And you incorporated that into the storyline, but comment on what really happened in that aspect.
So the question is comment on the actual getting them out of the mountains.
Yes.
Do you mean the passage?
Yes, so that's what I was saying. The series was not set during the Second World War. That was our idea, because we wanted to have a narrative power to the movie. And the situation of the Alps during the Second World War was really interesting, because, you know, Germany is not far, Italy is not far, Switzerland is not far. And there were actually people trying to get to Switzerland through the Alps. And there were people helping them. And we thought it was really a good thing from a narrative point of view, because obviously Belle, the dog, knew the mountain and could help the Jews get to Switzerland.
Yeah, even if there is German in the movie, I mean, the idea for us was that the bad guy of the movie will be the nature more than because obviously kids with World War II, they are not really aware at 6 years old when you're going to see a movie. So the idea was to make them learn a little bit, but the other idea was for the snow and the mountain to be a very fascinating landscape, but in the same time a bad guy dramatically. And the series was 25 or 26 minutes per episode. So when you do a movie 1 hour and a half, you have to have something powerful that drives you all along. And that was the idea of the Alps being the frontier of the freedom.
Thought I saw somebody right in here. Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Questions about the budget and financing and how that worked. Was that a challenge?
Actually, yes. Surprisingly, first because the movie is not very expensive, which is a really good produced movie. I think it cost something like 9 million euro, which is really low for what you see on screen. And it was really pretty tough because again, in France, it's the channel, or TV channel, who are financing the movies. And they were saying like, well, okay, it's not a comedy, it's for kids. Oh, the only thing that works is comedy for kids. And one guy in the 6th channel in France said, oh, but Belle and Sebastian, the idea of a kid and a dog, it could work. And he trusted the project, and I guess
Yes,
the one to...
yes, our main problem was the pay TV, you know, called Canal Plus. And Canal Plus is a very big channel in France, and they didn't believe in the movie. They thought it was too old-fashioned, and they didn't want to finance it. They didn't finance it. And at one point, it really jeopardized the project.
Because you have to realize that there is no star, and it's a big problem in France, because the star is the dog and the kid. So when you come and say, well, the star is the dog and the kid,
3 dogs.
3 dogs, for the price of one, it's more difficult to finance.
Yes.
So when the German soldiers, when the German soldier is knocked down by the avalanche and they pull him out, and she says, it was you. I wondered, like he had done, well, he was of course helping the men, but it was as if maybe he had helped them before.
Yes, the idea. It's not completely clear in the movie because there was a scene we wrote that was not edited. It's, you know, we're only the writers, but yes, the idea is that the German lieutenant actually is the one who gives to Guillaume, the doctor, the timetable of, you know, of the German patrols. So that's how Guillaume can take the Jews on the other side of the Alps.
That was good.
Yes, other questions? Yes, we'll go here and then we'll come up there. Yes.
Are you going to make a second movie?
The question is, will there be a second movie?
Yes, actually.
The follow-up question was, will there be a third movie?
It's even better than that because the shooting of the sequel has been finished last week. So, it's a good news.
Yeah, so the gentleman enjoyed it in England as well and wanted to know how it was received in France.
Oh, really well. Actually, it came out in December last year, and it was the second French movie of the year in France. So it makes like we count in a million people, and it did 3 million people who went there, which is admissions. Yeah, 3 million admissions in France, which is really, really huge. That's why that was the challenge of the sequel, because we had in mind when we came first to Gaumont, we told them, okay, we have a trilogy in mind, 3 movies. And I said, okay, let's do one, we will see. and the movie came out December 18th, and December 19th, we had a call from Gaumont, so when are we going to shoot the next one? And we were like, okay, we're kind of ready, but give us like, and the movie was written, the second one was written really, really fast, like in 4 months, because we have all the story in mind, and a new director came on board. It's a guy called Christian Duguay, a Canadian guy, who loves nature, and he did some amazing, amazing stuff. The movie was going to will be released in December next year, not this year, next year in France.
Other questions? Yes, all the way in the back.
Is it too early to ask what the storyline is for the second film?
So, a question about the storyline for the second film.
It's full of surprises. Again, you know, what struck me when I saw the movie with you tonight, and I thought, okay, this dog is supposed to be the beast, and it's supposed to be the symbol of wilderness, and at the same time, it's the dog that brings a bit of truth in the life of this little boy, and somehow a bit of civilization, and so we're going to follow this path, and what's going to happen in the second movie is that Sebastian is going to meet with his father. But his father...
That's all you get. Okay. Other questions? Yes, right here.
The sequel for?
So the sequel for Heartland, I guess you need to submit everything you do. So
Yeah.
Each of 10. We look at each movie on
It's
its
a
own.
pleasure to be here, so we
Yeah.
can come back in 3 years with no problem.
We probably have time for a couple more questions, and then they will be here. So if you want to come up and talk to them or take a photo with them, I know they'd love that, and it's just been a joy to have them here. But yes, that's all right here. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but a comment. You said somebody was not really interested in the movie because it was old-fashioned, and that's what I enjoyed about it. And there was this freedom that Sebastian had that I don't think kids have these days.
Yeah.
That's what I really appreciate.
So a comment about it maybe perceived as old-fashioned, but that's actually part of this of the strength of the film. You want to
Yes,
comment on
I think you're right. I think it was one of the reasons of the success.
Yeah.
Because kids nowadays, they're never free. They go to school and then we look after them all the time. They have music courses, dancing courses, and they're never alone and they're never free. And that little boy on the screen is free and alone. It's like a dream. It's like a dream for nowadays kids.
So, Fabien, what do you think? So this is the U.S. premiere, really, of the film. Did you sense a different reaction to the film from this audience than you've seen in the French audiences?
Yeah. You are very sensitive to the movie. I think you can hear pretty much more than in France. It's really pleasant for a screenwriter to see that the little funny thing works and the little moving thing works and the action makes you tense. And everybody's like, we were at the last row, so we saw people like, oh. So everybody's moving, it's like a wave. That's great. That's a great moment.
Yeah, we try to shift to make sure they're moving. We can take maybe one more question. Let's go back deep here, and then we'll come up to you.
Okay.
Yes, right here.
Question. Sebastian, when he was heading home for Christmas Eve, he put his skis in the snow outside the village and then went into the village. Is there a reason behind that?
The question about putting the ski into the snow before going into the village.
I would say it's a visual reason, just to have the ski. And at one point in the story, it was difficult to make the grandfather understand that the kid has gone into the village. There is a kind of geographical thing, but Nicolas did well actually, because you don't know exactly, sometimes you don't know where the house of the grandfather is compared to the village. Is it far, not far? Can you see the village from the house? So I think the ski, again, we're about the director, I think the ski show in between, like there's a ski and then he's going in the village. But logically, he should have gone in skiing all the way to the village.
Yes, question.
Well, first I'd just like to commend you on the screenplay. It's beautifully written and so much said with so few words. Thank you very much for that. But my question was about child labor laws in France and how that affected your budget and whether you need, like we do, a tutor on the set and things like that, and how many hours this kid was allowed to work a day.
Well, as Fabien was saying, the actor was 7 at the time, and he could play only like 3 to 4 hours per day. So what they did is they had 2 stunts, 2 other little boys, and that's how they managed. And actually, it was. Sorry?
So when they turned the camera around?
Yes, exactly. As soon as the boy is seen from behind, it's not the main actor. You can be sure about it.
Yeah, and the problem with the kids is you have the time and you have when you say a few words, it was on purpose in the script to make the kids not speak too much.
Right.
Because it was very intense, but kids you never know, again, when you never know on set how it's going. So it's faster to make a kid shoot with few takes and not too many takes because the lines are not going. So and Nicolas managed that very well.
And thank you for all of your time to be with us.
Thank you.